welcome in everybody. We are back for the fundamentals part 2. Last time we went over some artboard navigation, vehicle library, some VIN matching, some of the editing tools in the last one. The last one was a bit long, but there was a lot of stuff to cover. Today I want to start with one of the most fundamental things that we get, one of the most fundamental parts of our software, and that is plotter calibration. If you've ever received an email from the pattern design department, if you've ever talked to our help desk guys, which is Miguel and Salvador, you've probably worked through plotter calibration. The reason that we do this is that, and why it's so important, is because you've got to make sure that your cutter is scaling the templates properly. With window tint, especially, tolerances are sometimes within a 1/16 of an inch. So if your cutter is not scaling or is scaling the templates differently than what we are outputting to it, then that is going to cause you some problems. Light gaps are never good, and ultimately result in negative feedback for us, confusion, stuff like that. So we want to make sure that you guys understand how important it is to calibrate your plotter to that. Let's start. There is a YouTube video on our YouTube channel right now it's called Plotter Calibration 2.0. Let's go ahead and go through that with you. First things first, there's a couple of ways to get to that particular setting, is by going to the DigiCut menu and going into settings, or there is right there next to it's the second one in, I'm sorry, the last one on the right is your settings, up there just below shop film. So what we want to do is, let me play this video here. In the settings, you'll see plotter calibration. In plotter, you'll see calibrate. Click on calibrate. It will bring up this menu, which is, there's two different things here. There's width, where you can select the width and then cut that. What that is designed to do is to help you set your blade depth on your cutter, and that's going to cut a little 1-inch strip all the way down to the dimensions that you choose. What you want to do is click on calibrate plotter. Now at that point, what you do is you cut, and you're going to cut a 10-inch square, or 254 millimeters. Now once you weed that square, you've got to have a ruler. So I've seen some guys use tape measures. I would highly suggest purchasing a decent ruler. This one that we've got here is metal. It's got 30/2 of an inch on it. You want it as precise as you possibly can. A tape measure, I don't know that I necessarily would trust them, but we typically recommend an actual ruler. You can get these at Office Depot. You can get them at any tool, any wholesale store. Even Harbor Freight sells them. Now when you measure it, if it measures, in this case, this one measured at 259 millimeters. I'm using the millimeters simply because it's easier to read rather than using the the inches, the metrics. I'm sorry, the imperial. Now that one used 259, so you want to measure both sides of the square when you do that, so that when you go put in that dimensions, you put in the actual dimensions. Now in this case, you can see that it was 259 by 259. And with that, make sure you click save. I would highly recommend that you say cut again and then check it again just to make sure that it did save. So save, cut it again, make sure that it matches when it comes back, and that will make sure that your dimensions are scaled properly to the window size. You're not going to notice a lot of this stuff in PPF as you would in window tint. Some of the PPF, yes, but window tint, because it doesn't shrink. I'm sorry, PPF, because it doesn't shrink and it stretches, it's a lot more movable. It's not near as precise as the window tint is. So make sure you're doing your calibration. Make sure you do a calibration. There's a lot of reasons for that. That could be because you've used your plotter on a previous software that had to change the dimensions, had to change the internal settings. It could have changed something accidentally. It could have come from the factory that way. So we want to make sure that we do that. Now we use GraphTech and Roland cutters. Even inside the GraphTechs, even inside the Roland, there it is possible that you could do that. So we want to make sure that you do absolutely do that. Let's go back. Let's go on to the software for this next section. What we'll do is we're going to talk about some of the other features that we have that we may have not covered. There's a feature that we have that's called pricing. Now, get rid of that one. Pricing is something that is actually pretty useful depending on how you want to sell your cut jobs. If this is, you could use this just to calculate your square footage cost. You could use this as estimating for a customer. Here you can set up whatever you want. So inside the settings, if you go into pricing, you click the on box next to enable film pricing. And I've got some presets here. For example, a PPF film that is a 5-year film. Everybody's got at least a 10-year now. But at least a 5-year film, that square footage cost is $450. I'm going to add another one to that one. Let's see. And I'm going to call it, let's just call that one the color change film. So in that case, I'm going to charge $9.99 a square for that one. Maybe that's what your film vendor charges you. I know of one out there that's like that. Now, if you click on this one, it would be your default. On this one, it's the standard film is going to be that default. On tint, you can keep going. Tint, you've got a better. Let's change that to good, and let's charge. Let's do that one at 84 cents. That's kind of my cost. then I'm going to say a better film. You can name this ceramic or whatever you guys want to call it. Let's call that one $1.50. And then let's add another film, and let's call this one best. And that one's going to be my $3.50 a square foot. All right, so now that that is set and pricing is on, let's go find. Make sure that that's saved. There we go. Okay. Enable film pricing. You can sort it by PPF, by tint, or all. And my default for PPF is going to be the 5-year film. The tint is going to be the good. So if I go and do, let's just do a tint job. And let's just go with the old Acura ADX in the interest of time. If they want just the front roll-ups, what that one's going to be is $6.85. So over here on the right, you're going to see the dimensions, and what it's done is it's done the square foot calculations on what I'm actually using on the film. Even though my artboard is set to 60 inches here, in this case, let's go there. So if I change it to a 36 inch, because I'm using a 36 inch roll, notice that the film price is still $6.85. That is because that is how much film I'm using in this box. This box right here is how that's done. So now you can go back and use the math. If you wanted to use this as a quoting, some sort of quoting or estimate for a customer, you could do that one. If I wanted to say, let's go to the best film, I'm going to use $28.52 worth of film on that particular one. So that kind of in a nutshell is pricing. Feel free to play with that however you excuse me, however you want to do. If you want to up your film pricing to $10 a square foot to include your labor rate, that might be pretty handy. All right. Next, let's talk about the Shapes tool. Up along the top, as you hover over, you'll see we're in the selection tool right now. This is offset, resize, and then we have shapes. Let's set our artboard back to 60 inches just for the interest of this video. What I'll do, there we go, is go click on shapes. Now, if you just click on shapes and start trying to draw something, it's not going to do anything, but you got to tell it if you want a circle or a rectangle. This is super handy for the flat glass guys. And what I do there is then you just draw your shape. Once you select rectangle, you can draw your shape. Now you get it roughly, I want this one 24 by 24, maybe because I've got a bunch of square windows that I want to do. 24 by 24, if I wanted a exact amount, let's just go ahead and key it in and go 24 by 24. So you have to put your shape down first, and then we got to tell it exactly what we want. You can even go into the corner radius and put a 1/4 inch radius into that. Now, it's going to tell you the max is 12 inches. It's going to make pretty much a circle if you do that. But now if you zoom in using the zoom tool, you can see that it's put a 24-inch radius. I'm sorry, a quarter-inch radius. My apologies, my words and my brain are not working. Probably shouldn't have gone live today based on that, but it is what it is. That's for your rectangle shape. You've got a ton of other options. If you wanted to duplicate that instead of having to go through the whole process and draw that again, you can use the mirror tool, which is let's just mirror that horizontal. It's going to keep measuring whatever, or keep copying whatever you've got selected. If you select all of these and then mirror it vertically, now you've got a tile. So that's the quick way to do that. If you set your artboard, as we learned the last time, to whatever roll you've got, and in this case, let's just say I'm cutting on a 48-inch roll. What we'll do is select all of those, and then we could use the smart placement. And smart placement. Now it didn't do that because it didn't fill the space because I've got my pinch rollers set here. So even though I've got a 48-inch roll, I've got actually 47 worth of space on there. So in this case, let's pretend like I've got a 60-inch, and then I'm going to go check on smart placement again. Then it stacks them up there. So that's a quick way to do that on using the shapes tool. You can also do circles. Let's go back to the shapes. Circles, and let's just draw a circle. As long as you're in the tool, it's going to continue to just draw circles. Now keep in mind, if I hold shift while drawing that circle, it's going to make it symmetrical. Same with the square. Same with the square. Hold shift, and that's going to make it, it's going to constrain both the length and width on those. But circles, pretty simple. You can rotate it. You can put, let's delete that one. And let's go back to a square. Even if you wanted to rotate it, you could rotate it 45 degrees and it's automatically going to rotate that. So, shapes, really handy for the flat glass guys. Again, a lot of people don't realize down here in the right, we have, that is actually a YouTube tutorial, which is much better than listening to me talk through it live, but it's a little shorter version of how to use that. So if you have any questions on that one, that will take you right to the YouTube tutorial in any one of these tools. You'll see how it changes. More info on resize, more info on offset tool. So let's talk about another feature we've got with PCC. Now, we call it PCC because it is called protective color change. Some people call it differently, but this is color change PPF is what this is designed to do. We get a lot of good feedback on this particular tool, simply because it's a way to save you some film. Now you still are going to have to cut the mirror hole, and if you're taking the door panels off or the door handles off, you're still going to have to cut those. But let's get rid of the handle, the A-pillar, and here you go. Now we've got just the door. Click on the little car icon, and that's PCC. It turns green, and then over on the right you're going to see a dimension with a slider. The dimension on the slider is going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 6 inches. Most people, and in our own experience, will tell us that 2 inches is really the magic number. Gives you just enough to handle to wrap around all of the edges, and all you do is simply push play, and all that does is delete and join together that mirror hole, and it's going to delete the door handle and offset. It offsets the entire template by 2 inches. Now you can do this for the doors. And then again, if you're on your 60 inch roll, you can either mirror that. So now you've got one for the left, one for the right, and then you could fill the other space that you have in there with that, or you actually end up keeping this for your other wrap. Other stuff, so that way you're not wasting film. You get the advantage. It's kind of a hybrid advantage of cutting both, using the cutter for PCC for your protective color change, as well as saving you some square footage to use in other applications on the car. That is PCC. Now, once we have this ready to cut and arranged however we want it, we have this other feature called shadow cut. This one doesn't get a lot of publicity, but what it's going to do is by clicking on that, this puts, you can see now if I zoom in, you can see now that that's going to put a path around the entire thing. Now, that makes weeding so much easier, and then all of this film that we just talked about that you are saving now to use for mirrors or other parts of the car without having to cut the entire sheet and save your scraps. Now, all of that is still left intact, and all you have to do is weed this. All right. I think that should pretty much cover it. I'll try to shorten this one up today. Let's see if we have any questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We will post this later. Excuse me. We will post this video later. And again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on this one. But do make sure that you get your plotters calibrated. Would highly suggest that. It is imperative in making sure that it's putting out the dimensions that we do, that we make. We don't release patterns that are short on purpose. I would love to tell you that everything we do is perfect. We do make mistakes, however, and everything is checked. Keep in mind, everything is checked before we release it. So if you see something, especially after calibrating your plotter today, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be glad to look into that very thing. So I think that is all I've got for today. We will see you on the next time. Next month, it should be a pretty big month. June is looking like it's gonna shape up really nice for us, and we've got some new stuff coming. So stay with us. Feel free to reach out to you if you need us anything. Have a good one.